Talk, talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. You're on the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, and our guest today is William Manzanares, the fourth, and he's coming to us live and on podcast here on our show. William, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jose.
So glad to have you. Now, just so people have context, and we're going to build a lot of context about your story, we're spending 4 segments with William on this broadcast. Where are you right now? You're in Pacific Northwest somewhere?
Yeah, Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma, okay, very good. And you and I have talked once before, so I got to know you just a little bit and a little bit about your background. You have a lot going on, so I want to be careful. I don't want to jump all over the place, so I'm really going to start close to you and maybe at the beginning, so if you don't mind. And then I have a lot of things to ask you about because you've written a book. You know technology, you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader in your community. There's a whole lot going here. And then this is a literacy show. You've written a book called I Can't Read, and I have a question about that too. In fact, let me ask you that question because you've given your book a title that says something that a lot of students don't want to say. A lot of people who might have struggled with reading as a youth and as an adult. Have you ever had to tell anybody, I can't read?
Yes, I have. And that's kind of the whole point of that, is that one sentence is held inside to so many struggling readers who will never say it out loud to anyone. And I wanted that to be that voice for them to find that book and then get some hope and inspiration out of it.
Very good. And so it's up front, and you're up front, and I like that about you. Can you tell us, and typically I'll tell you, I've been asking these 3 questions for years whenever I've talked to adults who have struggled with reading or can't read. The first question is, what was life like for you in school?
I hated school.
Okay.
I was the kid who that was kind of, I talk about in my book. I was, and I found this out too. I have to get a little more excited. I found this with this book and talking to so many other adults who struggled.
Yeah.
We did something similar in public reading, which it seems like happened to our older adults generation. They had to just be called out by the teacher to read.
Right.
And so a lot of it was strategically placing my desk so I would never be in the front row or the back row, be in the middle, because no teachers ever picked the middle row to just start reading. They always pick a pattern.
Right.
It was always that. So I think in school it was really trying to game the system, and I practiced a lot on words I didn't know so I could fake my way through it, because phonetically I still can't read brand new words. It's just a lot of memorization in my life. So I think when I think of school, I just said I hated it. I hated it for so long until I got older to realize how it helped me.
Yeah, and people still are surprised and maybe you won't even believe the coping skills that a lot of young struggling readers adopt. But I can tell you were strategic about. I mean, you started talking about where to sit and statistically where the teacher is going to call students, et cetera. What are some of the other things that you did, and you also referenced memorizing certain words, and we are going to talk about dyslexia and phonemic awareness and how you are reading today, which I think is a really, really good question. But what are some of the other things that you had to do to get past, get through the assignment, or just get past a situation that might be embarrassing?
Well, that was for public reading that was the most embarrassing. When you had homework, we were also the age when computers started coming in. I was 6th grade when we got our school got a computer lab. You were able to mess up on every word, and spell check would eventually figure it out. So when you were typing, I remember doing that. You just typed, and who cares if the words were wrong? I mean, thank God the typing teacher said, don't worry about spelling, just worry about your speed.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, that was a way to survive because, I know other dyslexics share this. So I'll just say if you're in school still and you struggle, they really were big on handwriting when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And not as much now, I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was able to speak to some of the teachers that are still around from when I was younger. They don't do that as much anymore, but
Yeah.
Struggling with that. But the computers really was the first piece of technology that allowed me to hide it from the world and make me just think that it was just me and I was isolated and alone with
Yeah.
my reading struggle.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about. I've never asked this question before. Let me ask you about keyboarding. Knowing a keyboard, maybe not knowing how to read or not reading well, struggling with writing and spelling. Would you say you have mastered the keyboard? Was that a different kind of skill that you used?
It's different, and I'm grateful for the sixth grade teacher we had because he was our computer lab teacher as well. And he told us many stories about home row. And he showed us, he did the two, hunt and peck, he'd call it, with the two-finger typing.
Yeah.
And he's really slow at it. So, you talk about foresight. I was one of those kids who also did listen when teachers said this will help you in your future or won't help you. And I'll talk more about my career path because of that. But it was that one was stuck to me, so I stuck with home row. And if you're just copying words, and that's how I saw it, is you're just typing words out or typing tutor, you don't really need to know what they say.
Oh yeah, I remember typewriter class or typing in ninth grade, and you don't have to be able to read, right? So there you are.
Not at all.
Yeah. So were you fast at it, and were you good at it?
I became fast at it, but there's always someone who was faster. I still remember that kid who was super fast. But no, I believe I'm pretty proficient at it for what I'm supposed to be doing in life with typing and writing and other things.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this, because and I remember. Okay, so whatever what's the home keys on the left hand? So you have to spell the words dad and sad and fad, etc. Were those words being ingrained in you? Can you remember that far back? Really, would that something like that help you learn the letters and the words? That kind of repetition.
No, not me personally.
Okay.
No, that was more of just being faster at typing and reading, or I wouldn't say reading, you'd just be seeing each letter and typing the letters. To this day, I don't mind sharing. I didn't put this in my book, but to this day, words still mess me up, and I still spell them wrong because I'll never, I'll have to keep working around, and I've learned just to type it wrong and let Grammarly figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. And so when were you introduced to, because we had those iron, whatever they were, typewriters, when I was in school. When were you introduced to a keyboard that was hooked up to a computer?
About the sixth grade. I think that would have made me, 12 or 13-ish.
Okay, all right. So that's early. I mean, that's early because I was much older at my first computer keyboard. So let's fast forward a little bit. You've been in elementary school. Maybe are you passing your classes? Are you getting graduating from sixth grade or fifth grade, junior high, high school? Are you getting through grade wise? Or are they just moving you forward?
Well, my parents put me into a private school at the time, and I think for people have asked about that. It's just I believe my mom's the only one left now, but I believe they thought I was getting the best education.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was not doing the best in those classes, I guess they would assume that the public schools around that I would have done worse or better there. I don't know why they didn't. Grades were never big in my household, so they didn't look at it. So for me, it was just going forward.
Mm-hmm.
You passed every year. I think you did the effort. I do really distinctly remember in the fourth grade when I got the extraordinary effort award, and I hated that award even at that age. I didn't feel like I put any extra effort in, and it was just those recognition awards for something you didn't actually do. I just always didn't feel like I put enough effort in, and that was, I think, could it be identified by anyone who struggled with some kind of learning disadvantages? They felt like it was them. They didn't put in the work. They didn't want to get praised for being the person at the last of the class.
Well, now that you look back at it, why do you think you deserve those awards? And I guess I'm hearing you say, look, I wasn't good at what I was doing, and it's because I wasn't trying hard enough. But would people be able to say that you actually were, and maybe you didn't recognize it. Maybe you recognize it now.
No, and I meant, thank you for that, to clarify. Back then, I didn't like the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I think, was I putting extra work? I think the secret sauce that the teachers didn't know how much work I was actually putting in. I don't believe the teachers, they knew I was a slow reader. I can still remember all the other slow readers for public reading. And my competitive side didn't want to be one of them. So that's why I gamed the system and talked about it in my book, where I would do all that strategic stuff.
Yeah, and we want people to read your book, William. And, we have about a minute before break. In case people have to sign off, how can they get a copy of it?
Well, it's on Amazon and various sites, and on different. It's an ebook form and the Audible form. So you can listen to the book, you can have an e-reader, or you can get it on Amazon. And it's I Can't Read, Guide to Success Through Failure. Also, I created ican'treadthebook.com, if you can remember that.
Okay.
And you go there, and then I can, if you're listening to the show, I'll send you a free copy.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's a great offer. And we're going to talk more about the book. In fact, we'll remind people how to get a copy of it. We're talking to William Manzanares IV, and he's an author. And I don't know if I want to call you a literacy student. We'll come back to that. You tell me what I can say in that regard. But we'll be back with William Manzanares IV and talking about his book and his story. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Can you help a newborn baby in need? Sometimes the blessing of birth becomes complicated and perilous. Miracle Babies is there to help. Miracle Babies helps moms and dads give their all to their struggling little baby, but still need more. When you give to Miracle Babies, you help them give more. More skin-to-skin care, breast milk, and love. Go to miraclebabies.org and give right now. Be their miracle.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book, Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Homeless veterans and their families are suffering and need our support, but many won't ask or don't know that help is within reach. Veterans Community Services is here to help. Amazingly, about 35% of the homeless in our neighborhoods are veterans with families. Low-income veterans or their friends are encouraged to contact Veterans Community Services and reach out for help with housing and other services. Call now, 800-974-9909.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio. We're talking to William Manzanares IV, and he's literacy advocate. I'll start with that, William. An author, an entrepreneur, a community leader, and a voice that we certainly need and value. William, you mentioned just quickly being competitive. Did you get into athletics? Is that something, athletics or anything else really, to occupy yourself and challenge yourself?
First answer, in school, no, I tried. I mean, I did track, but nothing I want to say I was an athlete.
Yeah.
Competitive with sales. Earlier in grade school, we had a candy bar sale, and I was the top salesman of candy bars for the school for the next decade, my former teacher told me. It was one of those things that I saw I was good at.
And what was the quality? Was it being outgoing, convincing, comfortable with people? Did you feel comfortable with people?
No, you're never comfortable. You have to work on that.
Yeah.
It was the self-determining factor that in school was I didn't think I was that smart. I thought I was less than, and I did what I had to do to survive. But outside of school, I was creating businesses in my room and selling things to family members and relatives and getting encouragements from aunts and uncles that I was going to be a business owner one day. And that was put in my head as a child. So that's what started that activism when I became a business owner for youth. Is you can be anything you really want if you put your mind to it. And I truly believe that if you have the right positive affirmation around you.
And what were your first business concepts? What were the things you were thinking about doing? I mean, clearly, I think people around you can see this. This is something that he's good at and he's going to succeed at. What were you thinking about? This is what I want to sell, or this is what I want to invent.
I don't know if I ever had a business in mind. Actually, if I go back, I didn't know what the word entrepreneur was until almost the end at like summer of 8th grade, going into high school. I just said business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it was going to be a business. I didn't know what type of business.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I was going to own a business. That was my goal.
And did people in your family have a business? Was there somebody that was role model? Okay. So,
no,
yeah.
I seen it. I had some cousins whose father owned a business, and I think that's it. And my great uncle owned a business. So I don't say anyone in my direct family did. It was the extended relatives that did.
Very good. So now you're approaching high school. Did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
Okay, and you got a diploma, et cetera, and you're looking at the career path, which you reference. What started to happen at that point? And at the same time, you're still not reading, or you're not reading in a way, and fluidly or easily, or not at all.
Well, it's skipping big words you didn't know, and then when you actually, I did that a lot when we had to do assigned readings, and then for survival, even in high school, was just listening to everyone else's opinions, and then kind of, I guess, BSing your way through the class, but also listening to everyone's side and then explaining and being active participant.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that in school, it seemed that was for me, was if you were active participant and just outspoken a little bit, it would help.
Yep. Yeah. So you graduate from high school, and I know sometimes folks, put it this way, how well are you reading today? And then we'll step back a little bit, because what I wanted to ask you is, did you ever get help? Were you ever tutored? I know that dyslexia is an issue. We certainly have to talk about that, and understanding phonics. But did you ever get help? and then how did your career start coming out of a time when you're still struggling?
Well, early on, I remember, and I didn't write about this one book, but I did have some helpers when I was in really early grade school that I remember leaving the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. And then up to tutoring recently, after I published my book, one of the reading, a person has a reading company that I won't go in the name, but they started private tutoring me on their own because they wanted to see what an adult who struggled would look like reading with their system.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing that actually as an adult. So yes, it took me until I published my first book to get reading help.
Wow. And is it working, what you're doing with this company? And are you going to endorse them someday? Or you're not sure?
I'm not sure about endorsing it. I'd have to see. I analyze business models.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one thing is she wanted me to tutor me and then maybe one day get some business help. But it's one of those things where for me it was my self-discovery of Audible and audiobooks in my mid-30s that changed everything.
Ah, yes.
And that is I talk about in my book, and I really want to emphasize. Prior to that, I would take, a year to go through a book on flights when I was by myself or somewhere where I could finish How to Win Friends and Influence People. Or The Personal MBA was the last physical book I read cover to cover that way, for an example, up to that point. And then Audible came along, and it was just digesting one book a day. Well, one book, and then it took about a day or two, and then I finished it, and I was like, oh, my God. And then it was more after that, and it went into an obsession for years of just listening to book after book after book after book after book after book and retaining what I read through audio. So that's what changed it all.
Mm-hmm.
So because I can listen to a book and and then self-discovery of dyslexia is you can listen to, not every dyslexic can do this, but dyslexia, some can listen to books at multiple high speeds. Well, that was me. So at this point, I feel really like master of it all because I can listen to a book faster than anyone else around me who can read with no problem can read a book.
So you can accelerate the speed on these books being read?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. I
think I discovered that by accident, and also I'm really competitive, and somehow it turned into my competition with myself in the car rides you asked earlier if I was an athlete. I got into bucket list things, and right before I turned 30, I got into martial arts, so I would have to drive like an hour each day, and that's when this accelerated books because you're on the road, so I just listen to books.
You know, what a way to do it. I did read your book, and I know you're a real advocate for audiobooks, and it really is something I think people should know more about. And there's those of us in the field that were like, well, that's that's cheating. That's not reading. And it's not really the point. I mean, yes, we want you to be able to read, but if you're not able to, if you're struggling, if you have dyslexia or phonemic awareness challenges, this is a great alternative, isn't it?
I mean, every time I hear that, I will go with the parents who said it, and I thought it too when I said it myself, is would you tell a blind person that that's not reading if they're listening to a book or using Braille?
Wow, about that. Yes. Great point. And, and so we're not having that conversation, right now, and we should be, about audiobooks and a lot of the other things that technology allow us to do. Now, we talked a little bit about keyboarding and then spell check. What are some of the other things that you really like about technology that's helping you to do the things you're doing?
Well, I mean, if I don't use Grammarly or using the spell check and back and forth, I've done it before. I've sent out an email where it was not grammatically correct, so it made people go, what? Because people are judged by their grammar in the business world. But it's a lot easier just to use all those add-ons and dictation on I love Apple products. I'm a fan of them because I feel like all their engineers were dyslexic or struggled because of all the cool things that keep happening with every update. And that's what I'm a fan of, is just using and embracing it and wishing I had these technologies when I was in school. So I believe it's more of a positive looking at it like, oh, my God, look at this technology, kids. You guys have it at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You shouldn't not know, like, I'll come in with awards talking to classrooms or youngers and from anywhere from grade school all the way up to high school. And I'll ask them a question, and then I have to sometimes remind them, what about these little magical devices that can get you any information at your fingertips? I mean, boom, they get the answer, they get the reward. And I wish I had that, but I didn't. So I think I appreciate it a lot more now than if it was there when I was younger.
Oh yeah, well I think about just what we had to do when I went to college and had to write a paper, and a lot of our listeners will relate. You have a topic, you go into the library, and you start searching for the books that you want, hoping they have some of the content that you want. And then you walk out of the library with a big pile of books, and then you go into a private place and start looking for things to support your argument. And then nowadays, I ask people who are doing research, what do you do? And they don't do what I did or anybody else back then. They go to Google,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite a tool. It's quite a tool, and it's smart.
Well, one added thing I do like about Google is you can Google almost any word and then hear what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well, there's that too. And I think thank you for mentioning that. I mean, I think that's an important point. It's an important thing that technology does, so that a person who sees a word. I mean, yesterday I was trying to translate some words from English to Spanish. My Spanish is okay; it's not that deep, but I'm using the same thing. I'm getting help with but in my own, in this case, my own illiteracy for that matter, my own limitations with the Spanish language. So there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, William, we're going to go to break again. Like as I told you via email, things move pretty fast on the show. So we're finishing our second segment. I have a bunch more questions to ask you, and just really appreciate having you on the phone and you on the radio show and you sharing your story. We're talking to William Manzanares IV. He is a literacy advocate and an author, an entrepreneur, and involved in his community. And he's on the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk. We'll be right back.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com. Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. MCAULIFFE. ChristopherMcCullough.com.